Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank you for taking time out to join the session on staying connected and stay productive using M2 Cloud. My name is Oman. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Leftech Middle East and Africa. And I have with me on the call our director from our parent company, RIB, Mr. Hari Prasad Bhatt, who would be leading the presentation today. A quick guideline before I start. Kindly feel free to post your questions to the presenter during the session in the chat window, and we would be happy to answer your queries as we go along or at the end of the slide. I would also pray and hope that you and your families are safe and healthy during these challenging times. With challenging times that the whole world is facing also highlights the importance of staying connected and being productive so that we are able to service our customers effectively. Business challenges are imminent in any industry, and the construction industry is no different. Some of the key factors that impair construction productivity could be material shortages, lack of experienced design professional, large number of changes in design and procurement, slow approvals and issue of permits, etc. To overcome these challenges, we have a unique enterprise solution offering to customers in the AEC industries. Before we get into the details of the solution today, kindly allow me to take a moment to introduce our organization. Leftech Consulting is an RIB Group company with a team of 250 plus professionals. Our expertise lies in consulting and implementing business applications from Microsoft, providing ERP and CRM solutions. As part of our cloud adoption strategy, we also have a team of dedicated professionals focusing on mobility, business intelligence, and artificial intelligence. One of the reasons for our success has been our vertical focus. We focus heavily on construction and real estate. Leftech Consulting today has over 300 plus customers. We've been in business since the last 10 years. We're headquartered in Dubai and having offices across Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and India. We've been in the inner circle league of Microsoft for 3 times over the last decade or so. Inner circle is a recognition given by Microsoft to its top 60 partners globally. We were rated A and ranked number 12 in the Dubai SME Index. Leftech today is part of RIB Group, who has been a pioneer in providing digital transformation to customers in the AEC industry. With that short introduction, kindly allow me to hand over the platform to our director, Hari, who would now take it forward. Hari, over to you.
Thank you, Oman. Good afternoon, everyone. So before getting into the solution, allow me to briefly continue on the same lines to introduce about RIB. RIB is a listed company in Germany, a part of TechDAX 30, with more than 50 years of industry experience, presence over more than 25 countries, and more than 600,000 group users. A third of our 2,700 employees are into R&D, working on cloud, AI, mobility, all different components, but purely serving the construction industry. We are recognized as number 1 in the enterprise solution for cloud resource management end-to-end, and we are a part of TechDAX 30, which means one of the top 30 technology companies that is listed in Frankfurt Stock Exchange. In terms of our presence, some of you in this call today have operations in more than one country. We have this unique ability of being present globally. Any part of the world, you may have operations or some projects, some JV projects, some form of engagement in addition to Middle East countries. You may also have in Asia Pacific or Asia market, China market, or US market, and so on, Europe and so on. We have this unique ability to support across the globe on a local basis as well. We have a lot of reference customers, small size, medium size, and large sized customers who are into contracting, who are into development of projects, who are investors, who are owners of projects, and so on. But a common theme that you will see in all of our customers is that they look at RIB through our partners and through at RIB itself as enablers, as single point solution providers for all their requirements on digitization aspects of their business. So if you look at large entities like Siemens, like Zublin, like Deutsche Bahn, like McKinsey, and so on, these are all our partners, our customers who engage with us for the purpose of not just solving their problems from today, but also what they see as common problems in the foreseeable future. So we work with these strategic partners on 3 years, 5 years roadmap, on R&D roadmap, and then deliver these working together with them to solve the construction problem. For the last 50 odd years, we have had similar strategies, and going forward, we do see that we have to work with the industry very closely. Now, some of the common challenges that is faced by construction industry, especially in Middle East, is firstly in terms of the decision making itself. So today, with the constraints of time, with the constraints of budget, with the constraints of resources, both skilled and unskilled resources that is out there, there's a lot of pressure on every organization, every investor, every developer, every government body, every contractor to work on very low margins or very strict timelines, very low budgets. If it's a government body, it is very low budgets. If it's a developer, it is very low budgets, but otherwise it is all very, very thin margins. And something that is committed, to delivery is monitored by decision makers through reports and dashboards. Today, the common challenge is a lot of these reports and dashboards are created from manual sources or from disintegrated tools. Data is compiled maybe on the site or maybe in HQ in the head office through multiple sources like Primavera, like Excel, like standalone applications. But then all these are compiled as reports and dashboard and presented to senior management. This involves a lot of human errors or manual entries, which leads to wrong reports or wrong dashboards, and eventually leads to wrong decision making. So this is one of the biggest challenges that is out there. The second challenge is, especially when it comes to contractors, you have a tender estimation phase where within maybe 3 to 4 weeks, you would have to go through all the design documents, all the specifications, all the detailed requirements from the customer and come out with a tender estimate. You would have to submit, and through the iterations, through the addendums of the tender phase, you would have to come out with the revised estimates. And today, one of the biggest problem is there's not enough time, there's not enough strategies in place, there's no enablement through a software to maintain all these different versions and different components and support this tendering process in a very meaningful way. I think M2 also can handle this portion, and I'll explain slightly more in detail in the coming slides. The third problem is in terms of review of the productivity. It can be your in-house labor as contractors, or it can be your subcontractors and main contractors if you are a developer or if you are from the government body. So the common challenge is today there is not enough visibility on the productivity of different resources. It may be people who are blue-collar jobs, who are on site, the foremen and the people who are on site who deliver the work. There's not enough productivity analysis of their actual contribution to the project. There is a delay analysis report that is printed out from Primavera or MSP. There is a float analysis report. There are a lot of graphical reports that is done. But at the end of the day, it is not intuitively clear on what should exactly be the strategy. There's not enough, information to the project manager and project directors to make decisions on how to overcome these challenges. Quality and safety, depending on the type of project, are very, very critical, especially in EPC, especially in power transmission and oil and gas and so on. There are a lot of types of projects where safety and quality are taken a lot of importance as compared to cost and time, in addition to cost and time. And of course, having this in a in an integrated platform enabled through mobile devices, all these are very, very important. One of the other challenges is lack of holistic view of the scope of this time and of the cost of the project based on drill down and integrated dashboards and reports. So today, if you're looking at a delay analysis, you're looking at it purely from a time perspective. When you're looking at S curves or cash flows, you're looking at it purely from a cost perspective. When you're looking at change orders, when you're overlapping design models and looking at plan versus actual for model, as built versus good for construction and so on, you're looking at only design. There's no system out there which allows you to do all these three in one platform, because when the design changes, your timelines may change and your cost may change. Change can be both positive or it can be negative. Something can be value addition, which means it is reducing cost and reducing time. So all such analysis is very, very critical throughout the project life cycle, especially when you're dealing with liquidity damages and value engineering as an integral part of your scope. These are very, very critical. And lack of holistic overview of these components inhibits decision makers to make the right informed decision. Finally, when it comes to any construction project, you would have a lot of specialist contractors. It can be external, it can be internal teams, internal business units who are taking care of only formwork. Maybe they are taking care of only design components and so on. But in the end, there will be a lot of stakeholders, internal and external, who has to be contributing to the project. And one of the biggest challenges today is a streamlined process to enable such collaborations. Things like drawing submittal log, material submittal log, RFIs, notices on EOT, and all these different documentation part. This is all archived and manually maintained in Excel sheets and standalone applications. There is no integration from a scope, time, cost, all these different perspectives. And all these leads to a lot of challenges when it comes to delivering a project in time, in scope, in budgets, and so on, right? And these are some of the key challenges that we are going to try and address. And I'll, in my today's session, try to run you through how we address all these different challenges in our solution. Now, the common theme of what you will see today is a difference in approach of how to manage a project. So today you would have different stakeholders, and all these stakeholders, it can be internal or external, but all these stakeholders will be involved in their own world. They are required to. Designers are supposed to do only design. Quantity surveyors are supposed to only do quantity takeoff. Estimators only estimation. Schedulers only scheduling. But still, today the problem is that when designers use AutoCAD or Revit or Bentley and so on, quantity surveyors use Excel and AutoCAD and so on, estimators use Excel, schedulers use MSP Primavera, purchase order procurement officers use ERP and so on. So when different stakeholders use different standalone systems, there's a lot of missing data and outdated data. Ideally, what should happen is when there is a change in design, once it is approved, it should be available to the quantity surveyor. Once the quantity is taken off from the revised drawing, it should be available to the estimator and so on. So any given point in time, people should still work within their profile, but a system should enable flow of data in a meaningful way across all the different boundaries. And this is what we deliver in M2. We call it a 5D approach. 5D is basically integrating the design or scope, which is XYZ, with time and cost. And you may have heard about 3D simulations, you may have heard about 4D simulations, you may have heard about 5D simulations, but 5D for us is not only about simulating the project, it is about using that information for estimation, for change order management, for subcontract management, including their billing, for client management, for main contractor management, all these different components, including earned value, including just-in-time procurement and all these parts. More and more, these components are becoming critical to delivery because the operating margins in every construction project is becoming leaner and leaner. One of the industry research identified that a lot of time is spent on capturing the data and making sure the data is, structured as much as possible. And roughly about 13% of the total time in a project is spent around creating such content for the decision makers. And why this is happening is simply because there is not enough integration or flow of data among the systems which are in place. What you probably will be looking for, and for us, digitization, the most meaningful way is people in the organization, both internal and external organizations, have to work within the resources that is made available to them and have to follow the streamlined process that is defined either for a project or for the enterprise, and make use of the data for obtaining it, analyzing it, and sharing it across all the different stakeholders. The reports and dashboards should be byproduct of whatever you're doing. If a quantity surveyor is doing quantity surveying, this is still okay. He's not expected to do cost estimation or anything else, but his data should be seamlessly be available to schedulers, to billing engineers and planners, to somebody on site who is making a site requisition, somebody on procurement side who is doing the procurement review, and so on. So digitization at the end of the day is enabling all these different processes, and the holy triangle, or the holy grail as we call it. M2 is a cloud-enabled enterprise solution which does all these different parts. So at a project level, we take care of all the different processes that I spoke of, including ERP integrations, including quality, safety, mobility, and so on. It works at an enterprise level for enterprise data management, workflow management, document management, your partner or business partner management. Business partner can be your clients or can be your subcontractors and suppliers, both on upstream and downstream side of things, and contracts management along it. We also have the BI enabled system, which means we have our own control tower. We can have customizable reporting. We do give a lot of reports and dashboards, but you would obviously have your own templates which you would want to see in our solution. If you're using some BI tool, we can also use those to create the kind of reports and dashboards within our engine. In addition to this, we are also working together with Microsoft on construction specific AI. This includes chatbots, voice assistants enabled through machine learning and deep learning, which goes a long way especially in the coming year. This enables a lot of processes that can be automated. Now, the solution architecture is designed in a way that people on the upstream will continue to look at dashboards and reports. We call it control towers, right? These are the data that should be these are the reports that should be updated on a real-time basis. But people on the bottom of the food chain, these are people who are on the site. It can be site engineers, it can be the project managers, it can be the project directors, it can be your foreman as well. They are the people who are actually executioners on site. For any construction project, if you're a government body, if you're a developer, if you're a contractor, in the end, you may be sitting in HQ. The decision makers, the management level can be sitting in one office, but usually site is where most of the revenue are generated and most of the cost is incurred. And therefore, when somebody is updating the time, when somebody is updating the cost, somebody is updating the progress, and so on, all these different components at a data level is translated through different functional modules in M2 and the business level area, as we call it, through a streamlined process and multiple dashboards for management to come out with the reports and dashboards for decision makers at the end of the day. The best part is today we are already enabled through BIM. Many countries in Middle East, including UAE, including Qatar and Saudi, today are moving towards BIM. The government is starting to realize that BIM enables a lot of automation, and therefore, for at least for their projects, they are recommending BIM. If you look at other markets like Singapore, like UK, and so on, their BIM is already mandated. And based on the same trend, what we see is in the coming years, it could be in 2 years, it could be in 5 years, but in the coming years, BIM would be an integral part of most of the project deliveries. The best part is M2 is BIM enabled. If you have 2D drawing, the whole process that I'm going to show you today will still work. But if you have 3D model, if you migrate to 3D model, if you upgrade to 3D model, even then M2 will be usable for you guys. Now, as I was saying, so we already support 2D models, 2D drawings. This is CAD drawings with all the different layers in it. It can be PDF drawings, it can be, you know, whatever type of format. We are able to import it and process it for quantity takeoff or estimation and so on. But if you're using BIM, we can also use, you know, data from different sources. What I'm going to show you today, and I'll switch to the live system in a minute, is that M2 is applicable for any type of project. It can be a linear project like power transmission line, roads, metros, and so on, or it can be a vertical project like building, like infrastructure, like EPC, you know, oil and gas, and so on. Any type of project, we still follow a streamlined process, and this is what we are able to do very nicely. Now, what I'll do is, before showing you more slides, let me quickly, you know, show you some interfaces in M2, right? Uh, so this is the way M2 is structured, or this is a user interface, how it, you know, is configured. Basically, when a user logs in, I have logged in as the system admin now, and therefore I'm looking at a whole bunch of different modules and different containers. So I look at the project level, I look at enterprise level, I'm looking at procurement component, sales component, transport planning, and so on. If you have profile of, let's say, only procurement, you would be looking at only these parts, specific portions within those things. M2, as I was saying, is a German technology. We have a lot of security in terms of authorizations and, you know, all these different components, and therefore you can expect those levels to be already incorporated in M2. We call it a tile system, a tile-based approach, because what we realized is today, based on using Windows 10, for example, you see all these different tile layouts. Similarly, the folders are organized as tiles and so on. So different tiles are already organized, and it is very easy for users to adopt such a system. It makes it much more user-friendly. And the within M2, this is cloud-enabled, and therefore you can, you know, work on any browser. It can be Google Chrome, it can be Firefox, it can be Internet Explorer as well. But you can basically, you know, work on any operating, any browser to run this particular software. We can take up the hosting on Azure if you want, which means you literally will get user access, and then it is a subscription-based business model. Or if you want this to be installed on premise, this is also something which we can look at. Within model, so as I was saying, so you have this building project, for example, where you can look at the project holistically. The data for this can come from both 2D and 3D. In this case, this particular data is brought from Revit. We have a plugin for Revit, for Tekla, Bentley, Archicad, TrueCAD, and so on. It can be whatever level of detail. It can be 100, 200. The industry has different definitions of LOD. Even if it is a LOD 100 project, we can work with such projects as well, right? Similarly, when it comes to infrastructure, so we can have this possibility of working on linear projects, for example. It can be a power transmission line, you know, across different chainages. It can be a road project across, you know, different components. It can be an industrial project and so on, or it can be a 2D drawing. And it is quite interactive in the sense that you're able to kind of, you know, review this, all the different layers, you know, turn on, turn off, all these different components that we typically expect from system. You're able to configure all these different components. And for 2D, we can import the data from not only the AutoCAD version, but also PDF drawings and so on. So whatever is the type of data, what I'm going to show you today is irrespective of all these different components, right? So 2D or 3D, the processes that I'm going to show you today are independent of, you know, what type of project and what is the, you know, format behind. But in the end, the process will still remain the same. The deliverables will still remain the same. As I was saying, this is the landing page. You have different components within M2. Like you have the enterprise portion, you have estimation and planning, budgeting, you have bid management, you have procurement management, financial controls, and document management, and so on. There's also facility management, which I'm going to cover today, and I'll briefly touch on the ERP integrations as well, right? When it comes to the first part, you know, the design inputs, let me see if there are any questions, but okay. So when there are design inputs, the first thing is to import the data itself. Now, the best part about what is 5D BIM is 5D BIM is, we look at 5D BIM differently for different users. So when it comes to BIM manager, 5D BIM is about looking at a federated model. Federated model basically means you may have, depending on what role you're playing. Again, if you're a contractor or if you're an investor, a government body, or a developer, you may be required to work with some portions of the building is in Archicad, some portions are in Tekla, and some portions are in Revit. For those of you who know BIM, these are three completely different or independent BIM engines or BIM tools, and each one have their own pros and cons. And when you want to look at the project holistically, you cannot do that easily. With M2, a BIM manager is able to import these files irrespective of the source. He can superimpose them. He can review the project. He can do collaboration with this, highlighting different portions, sending RFI, sending, all these different components. This is something which he's able to do. You can very easily turn on and off different components or apply filters on, only the structural elements, only the architectural elements and MEP elements, just to analyze the project if it is meaningful or not, and so on, right? With 2D, it would be different layers. With 3D, it would be different objects. But in the end, a BIM manager is able to look at the whole project holistically. The next part is in terms of estimation, planning, and budgeting. So the process for us starts before, at the inception of a project. If you're a contractor, typically you would create a project in ERP after the project is awarded to you. Similarly, if you're a developer, you would create a project in ERP after it is finalized, after the feasibility is done, after the estimates are done, only after it is approved, you would then create a project in ERP and start with packaging and all that. M2 is a construction specific solution. We understand that the inception of a project is not after it is awarded, it is much before that. So you can create a project just to understand conceptually what is going to be my cost, what is going to be my timelines, and so on. If you're bidding for a project, it is for the purposes of bidding. You are able to create BOQs. There are many ways around it. You can either create BOQs from your historical data or a new BOQ. Historical data basically means you're working with, if you're a contractor, for example, you're working with the same investor or same developer over and over. If you're a developer, you would typically have built similar residential building or similar mixed use building and so on. So you would have some form of data, some form of BOQ which you want to reuse, and this is something which can be easily done. If you're a contractor and you have to work with client issued BOQs, we have this option of importing an Excel sheet from client, from Excel to M2, and then work with this for downstream process. When it comes to estimation, there are two different components. The first one is estimation of quantities. We within M2 engine can do detailed quantity takeoff based on both 2D drawing or based on BIM model. When it is BIM model, the process is much more automated. Within click of a button, you are able to extract the quantities and link it to the BOQ in Excel. The next part is, let's say you're a developer and you have a you have some quantities given by your consultant, feasibility consultant, and so on. Or you are a contractor and you want to work already with your client issued BOQs, client issued quantities, because it is a remeasurable contract and you don't care about revised quantities and so on. So for whatever reason, if you want to import quantities from Excel, we allow users to do even this part. Like every other solution, we expect that the Excel template should be in a certain format, and we have a lot of we have a lot of options to run macros to make it in that template, which is much easier to import and process it onward. This is about quantity estimation. Within quantity estimation, we do remember, or we do understand, that it is not a one-time job. You should be able to compare the original quantities with revised quantities and so on. And we do offer all such provisions in M2 as well. When it comes to cost estimation, we have this again option of working with historical data or master data as we call it. You can import cost estimates from one of your existing projects or from your master data. Or if you want to create a new project from the scratch, estimates from the scratch using first principles like labor, material, plant, add factors, add markups, and so on. Even this we obviously allow. We are having our own scheduling engine. So if you want to create a high-level project schedule, this is something which we can do in M2. We have critical path analysis and all the different components, including version management and so on within M2. So you don't need to really do it in Primavera or in MSP. But let's say for the sake of argument, you have a project schedule already created in Primavera or in MSP, you can import both into M2. We have out-of-box connectors which enable such processes. In terms of the, one of the challenges that I spoke of earlier is looking at a project holistically. You may be looking at design drawings separately in a traditional way. You may be looking at all the different estimates in Excel, or you may be looking at all the quantities in Excel and so on. And you may be looking at the schedule in MSP or in Primavera or even in Excel sometimes. The best part about M2 is the users will continue to do such processes within their standalone processes. But within M2, there is a provision to simulate the entire project, which I'll show you towards, in this presentation itself. So what basically happens is M2 will give you the analytics of, if it is a 2D project without BIM model, it will show you a cost time analysis. If it is a 3D model enabled or BIM enabled project, it will show you the 5D, including the scope part. And then based on this, if you're a contractor, you're able to create tender packages, for your submission. If you're a developer or government body, you're able to create subcontract or main contract packages and float it onward to, tender. Again, on both cost, quantity, and time part, we do understand you want to maintain your versions, you want to have multiple versions, compare what if scenarios and so on. And obviously we do allow all these different components. You can compare one version of quantity with one version of cost with one version of time, or version 2 with version 1 and version 1 and so on. So you're able to do any number of permutation combination to derive the most optimal way of delivering or constructing the project depending on who you are in the ecosystem. So what it basically means is to give you some rough idea on the interfaces. So again, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm just using a building project, but obviously it can be a linear project, it can be a vertical project, it can be a office building, it can be a mall, it can be a road, it can be a power transmission. Whatever is the type of project, it is still the same. A quantity surveyor is getting very easy interface where he can choose from a library. These libraries by default would point based on master data, but then within a project, he's able to localize on how he wants to structure the data. But basically with just click of button, he's able to calculate, once he's happy with the quantity takeoff parameter and the quality of the quantity extraction, he's able to click a button and then M2 would give him the results of quantity takeoff just like that. He's able to analyze the results at a detailed level, and then it would already recommend some cost based on the library, based on historical data like concrete, M30 concrete. M2 would know what is the unit rate of M30 concrete in the background, and it would already analyze and provide it. When there is a 3D model, you're able to click on one object and you're able to drill down and literally visualize what is the quantity of that particular component and things like this. So it is not only for structural, it can be for finishers, it can be for MEP, it can be for any item, right? So this is using that information. So today, maybe there is a design team who is using AutoCAD or 3D drawing. Maybe there are quantity surveyors who are looking at that data, but they are just preparing quantity takeoff sheets and then they are entering it in Excel. But what this solution enables you to do is translate this information onward to quantity surveying team, and later on what I'll show you is cost estimation team as well. Now comes the role of procurement officers and bid managers, right? So within your organization, I'm sure there are people who do this procurement. If you're a government body or if you're a developer, the procurement would be towards main contractors and towards client issued items, which means direct supply items, things like chandeliers, fancy doors, and so on. So these are all expensive items which are directly sourced most of the time by the investor itself. If you're a contractor, you would be having a procurement team who would be, looking at subcontractors, specialist contractors for MEP, maybe suppliers and so on, for rebar, concrete and so on. and you would also be looking at tendering team for client bidding as well. But both the cases, so now I'm talking of the downstream portion, which is, subcontractors or main contractors or suppliers, and this is going to translate to the AP, which is account payable portion in the cash flow. So typical process here, like the construction process, we follow exactly the same process where one can create a procurement package to say, I want to now look at all the latest quantity, look at all the latest timelines, look at all the latest estimates, and create a package for example, electromechanical works, or only landscaping works, or only, cabling works within a metro project or within whatever project, right? Somebody would initiate a requisition. This is purchase requisition, which after approval can go through a court. We have an online tendering system where subcontractors or suppliers can come online. They can register themselves to work with you. If you have a pre-qualification process for them to go through, even this can be incorporated in the online tendering system. They can quote to participate in all your projects first, and then for a project specific, they can give you some, quotations. You would receive, this is optional, of course, you are able to receive their quotes online. When they're using the online portal, you can directly receive these quotations, and then the best part is you can make a detailed qualitative and quantitative analysis of their, prices, of their skills, and so on. So qualitative basically means, things like number of years of experience, their turnover, their, performance in the last 5 years, financial wise, or, delivering projects in time. You may have your own qualitative analysis parameters. And quantitative basically means, your BOQ line items, the quantities they submit, the unit rates they submit. You want to do a side-by-side comparison of direct or tangible items, which goes into, both contracting and later on to billing as well. So in M2, we allow for both qualitative and quantitative comparison. In addition to that, I'm sure towards the closure, they have to submit to you bank guarantees, performance bonds, and so on. And you can use this to also negotiate. If required, you can also use it to negotiate. Or if you want to do it while awarding the project, even this can be done. But the main part is we do understand BG, PB, bank guarantees, performance bonds, any, CAR, and so on. So all these are very important documents, and, accounting wise and both project wise, these are critical. Later on in the execution phase, we also will highlight if a bank guarantee is expiring. Projects always are delayed. So when the project is delayed, let's say it was a 3-year project, now it becomes 3.5 years. Bank guarantee was originally proposed for only 3 years. So there are notifications which can be received on or triggered through, workflows to send out the email directly from the system to give you a list of all the projects and what are the bank guarantees which are expiring, who is the subcontractor who needs to reissue the bank guarantee, and things like that. So all such components are possible in it too. Finally, it would obviously again go through different versions or negotiations rounds and so on. We understand you want flexibility on maintaining any number of versions, and this becomes your data library as well for future. And finally, we have this possibility of creating a contract package and later on exporting it to the accounting ERP system. For the purposes of bookkeeping, typically it is expected by finance teams that you would export a purchase order into your financial ERP. The next part is in terms of the actual interfaces. I was saying, so cost estimators are also integral part of the process. So what 5D means for cost estimators is they are looking at the project. Today, maybe they are looking at 1000-page BOQs. You may have 5 estimators looking at 1000-page BOQs, and they are manually estimating a lot of things. Chances for missing out items, omissions, deletions, all these are very high, especially when you consider the fact that quantity takeoff is completely done in Excel or AutoCAD or whatever, and then these are manually given to cost estimators. And estimators have to remember to always use the latest version, and there's no integration. Whereas in M2, once the quantity takeoff is done, once the final approval of revised quantities is done by the quantity manager, he then is automatically, the system is automatically transferring that value to cost estimators. The estimators would see those changes. He can click on an object, on a floor, on anything, and he can look at, for example, this is plastering having 133 square feet and so on. He can enable object-based filtering as well. So he's looking at, for example, in a change order discussion, maybe this wall is changing. So he's clicking on that and he's looking at only those quantity takeoff or all the items related to that wall. So if there is a change order to demolish this wall or resize this wall, he can look at that isolated piece, look at all the different cost estimates that was done, both in the tendering phase and in the post-contract phase. The assumptions of any cost estimators is intuitively clear here, and this really helps to streamline the process based on the standard process, etc. Again, today, all the different versions of Excel, if you think of estimation version versus detailed design, cost estimation after the project is awarded and so on, all these are typically in Excel or standalone applications. There's no interoperability between this and, for example, billing towards the client, towards the subcontractor, towards procurement and so on. And therefore, these are quite isolated. With M2, irrespective of the type of project, linear, vertical, whatever type of project, you are able to click on detailed objects and then you are able to analyze the data in a very detailed level, right? This gives you the information on your fingertips. And the most important part is when the estimator changes his assumption, this flows onward to the procurement officer, for example. So when a procurement officer is creating a work package, right, it can be for electromechanical works, it can be for landscaping, it can be for cabling, whatever type of contract, right? So today what he's able to do is within M2, when he creates a package, it would look at the latest quantities from the quantity surveyor. It would look at the latest budgets or latest cost estimated by the estimation officers. And then the procurement officer, when he's creating a package, it would take into consideration all these assumptions dynamically without him having to intervene, without him having to make a phone call or send an email. It would automatically pick up all these details and create a work package out of it. Like I said, this package can be sent out for online bidding and side-by-side price comparison and all these different components. In addition to that, a procurement manager can log in any point in time. He can look at dashboards, things to see how many is actually being contracted, how many portions something is really wrong. It can be quantity, it can be cost, it can be scope is not clear and so on. There may be RFI linked to some object and so on. So whatever is a component, a user or officer is able to review these processes, and maybe he's able to create his own filter. All these are user configurable reports and dashboards, and obviously we can work with your requirements to understand and enable these components in future as well, right, to personalize it based on your workflows. The next part is the time component, right, and the project management component. Within M2, you have this possibility, because project management is a whole lot of things, right? Everything after the project is awarded, everything is project management. It is starting from schedule. So it can be a detailed schedule that has to be created from MSP or Primavera, or it can be a schedule that is created within M2. Like I said earlier, we within M2 have our own scheduling engine. You can do critical path analysis, you can do resource analysis, all this resource assignment and all these parts, you can do these parts. And then you can export and import data both to MSP and to Primavera. In addition to doing whatever MSP and Primavera can do, things like version management, durations and all that part, like I said, in addition to all that part, we also have what we call as location-based planning. Let me just go back to the live system to show you what I mean. And maybe for this, let me just go to the scheduling component. Give me a minute, please. So typically, again, you can have any number of activities. Here, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just showing you some of them. But typically, you would be working with different activities and so on. As I was mentioning, a schedule can be imported from MSP or exported to MSP, or same way with Primavera. We have interoperability. It is two-way import-export. The data that we import and we export are quite different, but there's a two-way integration. In addition to that, we can also do critical path analysis and all this part. Now, typically, what the planners are used to is looking at the Gantt chart, making plans based on Gantt charts and so on. looking at the planned duration, planned versus actual, overlay the, flow, duration, actual dates, planned dates. All these are different things which day in, day out a planner would do. But some of the common challenges that they face with are things like, looking at the productivity problem that I spoke of earlier. Today, you may have a project that is delayed by, let's say, 3 months. And usually the project manager asks, what can I do? Why is there a delay? What can we do to, how many people we need, to catch up the schedule and so on. It can be your internal managers, it can be your customers, your contractor, if you're a contractor, it can be your developer and your, government body. If you're a developer, it can be your investors who are funding the project. But every time, one of the common analysis that goes into a project is how many resources and what is their productivity. Within M2, we have what we call as location-based planning. So what you're seeing here on a screen is such a, location-based planning. When I click on any activity, it will show me what is the duration that is planned, not in a Gantt chart format, but against a calendar. The steeper the curve, the more productive it is. So what it basically means is this activity is taking so many days, but this activity is probably going to take much less time. So when you look at clashes like this, what it basically means is two activities. So this is one activity and this is the other activity. So what you're seeing here is two activities, foundation and beam, are planned in the same time at the same place. Now, if you think of a physical, location, take an example of a building project, flooring and ceiling, right? Flooring and ceiling within the same room cannot happen at the same time. In a Gantt chart format, it is not easy to identify such things. Whereas in M2, because we put it against locations, a user is very easily able to review such components. And if required, he can delay this just by dragging it. And then what you will see is this activity is now rescheduled, and it will show you revised dates and allows you to, save it and do critical path analysis and see if it is working or not. Secondly, when it comes to, overlaying different versions of, planned versus actual, or, baseline versus target and so on, you can do that, and you can actually analyze the planned productivity of the team was to complete it within 10 days, but actually they have taken maybe 15 days because this is plotted against days. So in a very easy to understand format, you're able to analyze your data, not just as a 30-page critical path report or 40-page float analysis report and so on, but in a very interactive way, so that planners can plan their projects more efficiently. Your project managers or PMC consultants who are representing you can plan and monitor the projects more efficiently. On a real-time basis, all the cash flows and all the other reports are updated, right? That is the end objective. Coming to progress update, now we do understand that today, traditionally, if I have to speak of the process, somebody on the site is taking a photograph. Maybe they are going to, going to site. Then there's a drawing on the board. They are highlighting different colors and so on. But later on, you would typically see that these photographs of those drawings are taken, and then this is updated in daily progress report or monthly reports. Your MIS reporting, it is used by billing engineers and so on. All these are manual works. Speaking of automation, what we allow in M2 is mobile-based progress update. It can be an Android user, it can be an iOS user, irrespective of what type of phone he's using, as long as he has internet connectivity, as long as it's a smartphone, Samsung, Nokia, whatever, right? So a foreman also can log into M2. He can look at all the different activities from M2. Only those which are assigned to him, he can look at those, or within that date range, he can look at that only for that project and so on. He can update the progress using his mobile device, including comments and so on. He can update both quantities, or he can update the percentage. He can say 50% and M2 will calculate the quantities, or he can say today I poured 50 cubic meters of concrete, and then it will say it is 36% of the entire progress planned and so on, right? So he can enter values of both quantity and or percentage, and on a real-time basis, this information will flow back to M2, and all the other players in the ecosystem would have this information on their fingertips. This would eliminate the need to, especially because we are able to generate the reports from M2 as well, the, delay analysis and all that part. This eliminates the need to somebody to manually take a photograph, understand, revise quantity, blah, 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 all those different components that traditionally goes into picture. This completely eliminates it because we have all the data in a single platform or single engine. With this, we are able to create 5D simulations. I'll show you what it means in the next slide. But we are also able to, if you're contractors, you're also able to create inspection request using a mobile device. If you're a government body or if you're a developer, you can allow the contractors to raise this inspection request on mobile device. Why this is important is because today we are more and more, the industry is trying to be paperless, and all these different components, inspection request and defects, all the transmittal related things are what are paper, making every project paper centric. The second reason is, for a paper, it is very easy. After 3 years, it is very easy, that easily the paper may be missing, right? Whereas in digital platforms, this data is stored, archived on the fingertips, and any point in time you can look up and review, okay, this was the specific inspection request, this was approved by this person, and so on. So all these different components are there. Defects management similarly is a process where somebody would go to site, use a mobile device to take a photo, send a notification directly to, let's say you're a contractor, you're sending it to your subcontractor. If you're a developer or government body, you're sending it to, or your project management consultants, they are sending it to the main contractor or subcontractor or whoever. But irrespective of the who you are in the ecosystem, the process would still be that you're sending it for rectification to somebody, and that person has to send it back to say, hey, I have completed this, can you please check and approve this? If he approves, this is okay. If it is not approved, he still has to send it back, and it can be iterations or versions before it is finally approved. So all this process is both enabled through mobile device, and obviously on M2 interfaces also you can get such things. When it comes to contractors and subcontractors, you would definitely have something called client billing. This is your AR or account receivable side of things. In M2, we allow performance evaluation. We have this measurement sheets where you can enter the quantities, and these are, or you can directly reuse the information from progress. But main thing is you can directly use it at a BOQ level. You can do claim quantities versus certified quantities and so on, including the retentions, including the materials on site and so on. All these different things go at a BOQ level. There is a process. Once it is certified, then we can send this back to the ERP. Irrespective of whatever ERP you're using, we have APIs that can connect and that can run through. And I'll touch briefly on this later. If you're a contractor or a subcontractor, or if you're a developer, or if you're a government body, you would always have subcontract or main contract invoicing. For you, this is the accounts payable side of things. So based on the procurement package that we discussed earlier, based on the all the different terms and conditions, the progress would be the construction would be done by the subcontractor, and progress would be updated by the either the subcontractor directly or your own in-house team. But in the end, this information can be reused for verifying the subcontractor's invoice. He can log into a portal where he submits his invoice, and then this can be used for comparison of claim quantity versus certified quantity. And once you certify the quantity, finally at a detailed BOQ level, literally the thousands of pages of BOQ can be handled within M2. Once you do that, we can then export the summary or details to the ERP system to recognize it as AP and treat it from an accounting perspective. In addition to all these different processes, obviously resource management and safety management are integral part of this, and we can do this within M2. Resource management includes both named and generic resources. If you're contractor, you would look at excavator number 123 or tower crane number 123 and so on. So such level of detail also we can handle this within M2, including what project it is assigned and all that part. We can do this in M2. Accounting treatments, things like depreciations and so on, this would typically be in your ERP system. But project management aspects, we can do this in M2. Again, the best part about all these project management aspects is if you're a cost controller, you can, depending on authorization, you can have access to any information you want. When there is a change, and if this is linked to a change order, all these different processes that I spoke of, can be very seamlessly integrated or initiated so that you're processing the change orders and all these different parts. What it basically means from a user interface, again, for the sake of simplicity, I'm showing a building project, but it can be any type of project. But typically, a scheduler is able to drill down in addition to looking at his activities in Primavera or in MSP. He can also look at what is the total scope that is committed, especially when he's looking at zones and so on. He can visually tell the project manager today that critical path, today if you have to print out the critical path, it is a 20 or 30 or 50 page report, right? If you have 1,000 activity, it is a 50-page report, and project manager usually does not have time to go through this. Whereas in M2, we allow a easy to understand interface. On a BIM interface, we can actually show this critical path, and then a planner is able to plan to say zone 1 is this portion, so I need X time. Zone 2 is a smaller building, I can see this, and therefore I can, it is only Y time, 10 days and 5 days and so on. So this is what I was mentioning. It can look at the objects in critical path and make plans around it and so on. He can look at delayed activities, he can look at planned activities for next month, all these different analysis, including delay analysis and so on. It is possible in M2. What 5D BIM means for project manager is, for example, 5D simulation, right? This was the simulation I was talking about earlier. It can be done in a pre-bid phase. For developers, it is feasibility stage. Developers or government body, it is feasibility phase. For contractors, it is bidding phase, or it can be in the execution phase of the project. Every time there is something called catch-up schedule, and typically people are expected to do planned versus actual a lot of times. What we can do in M2 is look at the project holistically. On the right hand side in these two windows, you're looking at the scope components. On the bottom left here, you're looking at the time component, and in the center here, you're looking at the cost component. This is a simulation cockpit that allows you to choose which version of estimate, which version of schedule, which version of scope you want to use to run this simulation. If you don't have a 3D model, you would do a scope and time analysis. It would still be better than what you probably are doing today, because today if you have to do a cash flow analysis, the timelines would be in Primavera or MSP. The cash flows, the cost component would always be in BOQ, in Excel sheets, or in some standalone application. But there's no tool out there which can integrate the latest version in a meaningful way, allow for progress update to reflect the actuals, compare any version with any version. So when I say version, it can be things like baseline versus target. It can be target 1 versus target 2. It can be catch up versus original tendered version. Whatever is the version, right? You can, in the simulation cockpit, you can choose any version that is within M2, any cost version, any time version, any scope version, and do all such analysis. This gives the project manager a holistic view of the project. Let me just pause here to take some questions. Sorry about that. So there's a query from Rajesh Mohan that there's a design documents are input for project estimation. Does it deal with design activity itself being estimated as a part of project cost, and therefore design itself is taken as activity being monitored and tracked? So Mohan, to answer your question, estimation is independent activity. I am showing you design input as quantity, quantity input as cost, cost input as or time, and then holistic project and so on. So I'm showing you in a process way. But let's say it's a EPC type of contract, right? Design and build, and there's only schematic design. There's no detailed design. So you have to make a lot of assumptions. Literally, you can create a BOQ. You can manually enter the quantities without having any design. You can literally say one lump sum and it's $1 million or million dirhams, and you can progressively do that. You can save it as version 1. As and when the design evolves, you can then go into detailed estimates based on evolution of the design. So earlier when I showed you the live interface, I showed you LOD for design, level of detail, and that was the part which I was referring to. So you can work with any level of design, but design is independent. Quantities can be manually entered, cost estimation can be manually entered based on some parameters, and then you can use that typically like how you would work in Excel. You can still do the same way in M2 as well. I hope I have answered this question. If not, please do type back in. There is one more question from Rajesh, which I'll take now. So, in the absence of prior buying history for labor, material, overheads, expense, whatever component, how does the system build the cost of the project at the bid stage? We have very rarely seen that customers do not have master data. So let me rephrase that instead of a negative sentence. Almost 100% of the time, our customers will be sitting on a rich pile of data. The biggest problem is usually that their data is very, very project centric. Their procurement is very, very project centric. So they don't have a master data of what is the latest prices. Similarly, estimation tendering team would have the tendering Excel document for tendering for building project, residential building, commercial building, and so on. And when they get a tender, they just copy paste the same Excel sheet and reuse it over and over. So we do see that there's a lot of similarly in procurement and so on, right? Procurement, if you're doing procurement in your Excel, you still have thousands of Excel sheets with thousands of versions or spreadsheets, but you don't have a master data, let's say, like in an ERP, for example. In such cases, this is still okay. From a business standpoint, we will still work, we will still ask you to define what is master data. And this may be involving looking at 5 different projects, latest projects, and defining what is a master data. The good thing about RIB and about LevTech is we have been in the industry for very long. RIB for more than 50 years now. We have worked with 100% of our customers is into construction. We, over the last few years, or over all these years, we have built a lot of knowledge base, and we are able to guide on what should be what we call as global best practices. So we are going to come back, and as a part of our scope, we are going to tell you, hey, this particular customer, or in terms of process, this particular process, this is our best practice, which is already implemented in the system. Do you want to use this? And there are many ways around how we would typically handle such missing historical data, but invariably there is always a starting point. If there is no master data, then your first project becomes the template for master data, and you would build this over the period of time. Within 1 year, if you have, let's say, 5 projects, that components which you choose from the 5 projects would be coming back into M2 as master data. Rajesh, I hope I have answered your question. If not, please, do comment on this. The second question from Rajesh is, what are the capabilities to manage quality, health, safety process at both planning and execution stage? This is the last question which is typed here so far, so I'll take this also. So when it comes to quality, safety, and all these different components, there are many parts to it, right? First is internal best practices or internal corporate practices. If you're a quality inspector, you have standards. If you're a HSE or safety officer, or you would have your own standards. Sometimes, depending on the type of projects, government also, your investors would say, developers or investors would say that you have to follow this particular norm and so on. It would also entail checklist. It would also entail compliance forms and so on. So, for example, before erecting a scaffolding or before using a scaffolding, there is a checklist which has to be inspected by the quality engineer, by the safety engineer, and it has to be approved. If there is an inspection on site, this has to be obviously approved by quality before it is sent out. If there is a non-conformance report, NCR, which is raised, this has to be completed within 7 days, 14 days, depending on the severity and so on. So there are various parameters within our engine. We have within our product, we have such possibilities of defining detailed checklist, enabling it through mobile device so that people on site can open it. Inspection is done digitally, and you're taking photographs, attaching it, and sending it for approvals, or sending it for, if it is a NCR, you're not sending it for approval, you're sending it for execution, right? Your contractor, you're sending it to your specialist contractor, or you're a government officer, or you're a developer, you're sending it to the contractor to say this particular is not in compliant with the quality aspects, and therefore you need to fix it. So that process is possible in M2, taking photograph, attaching it to a form and so on. So that is something which we can handle in M2. Both parts we can do it in M2, right? I'll speak slightly more in detail when I come to so Rajesh just replied saying what I'm covering is true for a building project, but not for EPC, where it may be a completely new design and the qualities would evolve over a period of time. You're right, Rajesh. We have this possibility of defining a master, let's say, a template, a basic template, and as the project evolves, depending on the project, it has to be configured or reconfigured. Depending on the equipment, for example, you have to add 10 other parameters that needs to be approved. Similarly, you would have 10 other parameters. So I think these detailed discussions, let me address it towards the later towards the end of the session. Just continuing on the dashboards and reports, right? So earlier what I spoke to you about, for example, this 5D simulation is looking at a project holistically. It does not have to be a project manager. Depends on for us it is all about authorization. If you think that cost controller in your organization should have access to this information, for us it is very easy to enable this dashboard for him. But the main part is whenever we are creating any dashboard or any report, all this data would come from one engine and one single source of truth, right? So all this, earlier when I started this discussion, I said, one of the common challenges is today people are looking at various dashboards and various reports. When the decision makers are looking at various reports, they are not having the latest information. A classic example of this is S-curve. It can be earned value, it can be cash flow, it can be budget flow, it can be histograms. Irrespective of what S-curve it is, it invariably involves taking on the x-axis, it is a time component. On the y-axis, it is cost, revenue, budget, cash inflow, cash outflow, all these different parameters that I spoke of, histograms and so on, right? This data on the y-axis would always be in, for example, Excel or some standalone application which can do estimation or budgeting to some level and so on. And this information on the timeline would always be in Primavera or MSP, and the two software does not talk to each other, because this would, planners always say level 1, level 2, level 3, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and so on. And cost estimators don't care about level 1 or level 10. They care about M30, M40, M50, both cost estimators and quantity takeoff guys. Schedulers, they don't care about M30, M40. They say level 1, and they say columns, beams, slabs, for example, right? So in that sense, the level of detail in these two are completely different. But for a decision maker to look at a cash flow report, to look at earned value analysis and so on, he should have this information on a real-time basis. We in M2 can do this, and only we can do this, because we, in a very meaningful way, over the last few years, have analyzed this data. And over the last few years, we have built this solution which can integrate all these different components into one engine, so that the templates are all there. You just click and then it will produce the information looking at the latest information on a real-time basis. It does not require somebody from site to compile data, give it to planner puts it in some other software, give it to some cost controller, he puts information about billing and producing all this different data, right? It does not require all that. It is, the template is there, it is common for all the projects. You click on that and it generates such a report. Similarly, there are BI enabled solutions also. If you don't have a BI, we have what we call as M2 BI as well, which we can offer in addition to what we are talking now. But basically, we give a whole bunch of reports and dashboards, but every customer would have their own templates, their own reports, and their own dashboards that they look at. And obviously, we can cover all these different components, configure it as a part of our delivery, or show you or train your IT team on how these can be configured by yourselves. The next part I'm going to talk about is about a full-fledged document management system. So you may have, drawing submittals, material submittals, RFIs, minutes of meeting, NCRs, variation orders, EOTs, risks. All these are different, risk log, site instructions. So all these are different component that goes into, collaboration and discussions with, of file formats with your other stakeholders in the project, right? Linear or vertical, all these are different components. Today, it is a very paper-centric industry, especially the projects, especially because it is not digitized. And most of the document management systems out there are not construction specific, and therefore they don't look at all the various aspects that goes into a construction project. Because RIB for the last 50 odd years of its inception has always focused in the construction industry, we have a very exhaustive document management system, very comprehensive one, which takes care of all these different components. So version management of drawings, of material submittals, including annotations, highlight, overlay two different documents and find out difference, what is added, what is deleted. Similarly, annotate, highlight a drawing, highlight a document, specification, whatever, and say approved, reject, workflow, all these different processes. Similarly, minutes of meeting, you have an agenda. Today, there is somebody who is junior who maintains the minutes of meeting, and usually he has to follow up with 10 people before the minutes, before the next meeting to update to circulate an updated version. Every minutes would say task number 1 has to be done by this person by this date, task number 2 by this person by this date, and so on. There is no escalation protocol. There is no automatic way of monitoring all these different components. If you look at any traditional way or any standalone application for document management, we in RIP, in our document management component, we have a full-fledged DMS, which also, in addition to all the other components, we go to such level of details where we can handle the minutes of meeting at a very detailed level. Similarly, O&M manuals. So this is the operation and maintenance manual part, the review, the approval, and all these parts. After this, I'll speak of facilities management, component by RIB, which can be offered, and there we'll speak of COBie and all these different parts. In terms of interoperability, our DMS can accept any template, any format, Word, PDF, drawings, 2D drawings, BIM model, all these can be stored within, including schedule and all that part can be stored within M2, within our document management system, and the review, the approval, all these can be done as well, right? Now, when it comes to the facilities management, and this is probably by towards the end of my slides. So within FM, there are, again, it's a big list of options that every investors would be looking at. Typically, they would be looking at efficiently managing the spaces, the commercial aspects of facility management, things like budget for the financial year, things like invoicing, leasing, all these different components. Similarly, infrastructural aspects of facility management, having cleaning management, internal, external, different components. All these should be enabled through mobile devices as well, managing the fleet and so on. So infrastructural aspects. Similarly, the technical aspects, project management aspects, it obviously have to have a workflow management so that there is email notifications, there is approval for any of these components and so on. And obviously it should also have responsibility management, which means you're assigning it to person A or a company A. It can be scheduled maintenance, you're leasing out 1 year contract for all the FCUs or all the centralized AC units for a specific vendor, and it will have interim invoices and all those parts. So that is one part. The second part is, again, it is one-time breakdown maintenance. It will involve labor, material just for that one particular instance and so on. But in all these different components, you are able to handle this. And obviously this also comes with the range of dashboards, reports. Within our FM, we accept COBie format, which is industry specific and so on. Again, interoperability is main there, and it also has interoperability with ERP, which I'll cover next. As I was saying, ERP is, we look at ERP mainly from an accounting system perspective. So when a project, so on the top here, you're looking at various aspects of a construction project, right? It would involve setting up a project, but more importantly, the design aspects, the quantity takeoff, cost estimation at a BOQ level, both of this quantity and estimation. Then it involves tendering, contract management, site preparation, all these different aspects. In ERP, almost 100% of the time, you maintain only the high level or WBS level of detail. The 1000-page BOQ is translated to a 20 to 30 page, 30 page or 30 items, WBS items, and this is manually entered in your ERP. It can be for budgets, it can be invoices, procurement, purchase orders and so on, for subcontractors, whatever. So all these are different components. Within M2, we handle the detailed BOQ level of detail, and we are we have this out-of-box possibility of integrating with any ERP. It can be SAP, it can be Oracle, it can be Microsoft. If you don't have a ERP, with LeftTech, we can offer the right ERP for you guys from Microsoft. If you're a SME versus if you're a large organization, there are different ERPs in place which can handle such nuisances. But the whole idea is, together with LeftTech, we can be a single solution provider for all these requirements. So these connectors are already available from our side. The web APIs are available from our side. We would typically look at your ERP that is deployed and then configure it for your specific ERPs depending on the version and all these parts. So that in a nutshell is what we offer. I would just look at the questions one more side. Yeah, I think I've already stretched over time now, and I really apologize for that. But my intent today was to kind of give you an overview of all the possibilities in M2 and probably reach out back to you guys to get your feedback on very detailed, Q&A or very detailed discussion that you would like to have. I think Oman will be getting back in touch with you guys. Oman, do you want to take over?
Yes, Hari. Thank you very much for attending today's session. I hope the session was useful. As Hari mentioned, our objective from here on, from this session, was only to give you an idea in terms of how M2 can add value to your business operations. We will be in touch with you, share the recordings of today's discussions, and any further discussions or presentations that are required from here on, we would be happy to connect and help you. Thank you all once again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected. Thank you.